All right, we got plastic makers have a big secret. They're experimenting on you from More Perfect Union. Oh boy, let me see.
Run, 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 run. There may be a snake. There could be an alligator.
I'm in Point Comfort on the Gulf Coast in Texas, and there's something dangerous lurking in this water.
It's a plastic bottle.
Lexi.
Oh, wow. That's all plastic pellets in there. Plastic pellet, plastic pellet, plastic pellet. Microplastics have shown up in the blood, brains, and testicles of nearly every human tested.
Microplastics.
Oh, shit.
Microplastics are everywhere.
They've been found in almost every organ in the body.
Bro, if I die, I'm gonna die of microplastics. Like, bro, I'm sucking down these like water bottles, and it's not like it's the bottle. From what I hear, it's the cap, because like whenever you like go to turn that shit, it like creates like a plastic pellet or something. Yeah.
We're eating and drinking more plastic than we might have realized.
And you might be likely to blame your own personal behavior for this junk ending up in your body.
Swap out that plastic cutting board.
Plastic is being leached into my coffee.
But it's not all from your cutting board or water bottle.
Plants like this one are producing a form of microplastics that are relatively unknown and nearly completely unregulated.
The problem is once they get outside the fence line, they get into the waterway, things can eat them because they look like fish eggs. They absorb the harmful chemicals like PCBs and PAHs, and those are the things that make them hazardous once they're in the environment.
Bro, if that was me, I would just think these are like little rocks. This is crazy.
Lots of plastic.
So I went to the Texas Gulf Coast, dotted with chemical and plastic manufacturing plants, to figure out how
Holy, this is crazy. Seeing this entire like area, that's like insane, dude. Like, I feel like I'm looking at like a cityscape of like The Sims.
microplastics are ending up in our waterways and ultimately in our bodies.
So all those little white dots, those are all pellets.
Pellets.
That's all plastic pellets in there.
And why the corporations largely responsible face no repercussions. Plastic was invented in the early 20th century, but didn't become mass-produced until World War II, when America needed to manufacture armaments quickly.
Armament manufacturers immediately turned to plastics for assistance.
But when the war ended, there was all this plastic infrastructure with no war stuff to make, so they had to pivot to consumer goods. And part of that was convincing people during the 1950s that this stuff was normal and natural.
Plastics come from many different raw materials. Some of the materials are natural elements like water and air, with many contributions of the kingdom of plastics.
Oh yeah, there's tons of water and air and plastic. Bro, they're reaching on this commercial, dude. But I mean, I can't really disagree, because like I look around my room and I'm just like, bro, there is so much plastic. It's not all the same type of plastic, but damn, dude. There's just plastic everywhere. Like even on the mic. If it's not plastic, it's like a rubber or something.
Designed for practical, gracious living.
Well, some predictions from the 60s were a bit overwrought, like the guy who said plumbers would use so much plastic that they'd be called plasticators. A lot of these...
Did you get your plasticator cert yet, dude? No, man, I'm just thinking about it. It's going to be either between that or electrician or become a lineman or a firefighter or a police officer or a medic or a nurse. I want to be a plasticator.
Early predictions of the future were accurate. You know this, you live in the future. Plastic is everywhere.
Yeah.
There's one invention that really shows how the industry operates.
The EasyGoer lightweight plastic bottle for Coca-Cola.
The EasyGoer, the first plastic soda bottle, was introduced by Coca-Cola and Monsanto, the chemical company, in the early 70s.
God dang it, Monsanto at it again.
After a quick FDA approval, the Easygoer was launched in small test markets. And according to this film produced by Coca-Cola, people loved it.
My brother bought some Coke in a plastic bottle and I tasted it and it tastes the same as in a glass bottle.
Tried the plastic bottle.
Dang. Oh wait, no, she's probably talking about the little hand ones, like these sizes. Because when she said glass bottle, I thought 2 liter, but like 2 liter of glass, like no shot. I mean, why hasn't beer like made this jump? Probably because it's there has to be like a difference in change of taste, because there's no like plastic bottle beer, but there's still aluminum can beer and glass bottle beer. But there's no plastic bottle beer. That's what's funny.
Bottle, and I like the way it tastes.
I love them.
The bottles are made using a
And I don't know why. I think it's it's like a visual thing, or like a vibe. Like plastic bottles they seem childlike. And then like a step up is like an aluminum can, and then a step up is like glass. Which is kind of funny because I see like water in glass bottles and I'm like, damn, that's that expensive bougie ass shit. But I have never seen, because like beer is like, beer can get pretty damn cheap, all right? Let's not kid ourselves. But it hasn't gotten so cheap to the point that it is now in a plastic bottle, which is funny.
Chemical called acrylonitrile, which studies at the time showed did not leak significant particles into the beverage inside, which is important because acrylonitrile is a carcinogen when consumed.
Only from your Coca-Cola
It gives you cancer.
Just 2 years after the test run launched, the FDA rescinded approval. The amount of migration of particles from bottle to contents wasn't safe. The bottle was banned.
I like it very much. I have a youngster 5 and I feel safe that he has the Coke in the plastic bottle.
The FDA approved the safety of acrylonitrile bottles using testing data from Monsanto, who made the bottles.
Yep. That's why anytime I say just go with, like, a lot of times I'll just be lazy, and if I'm like trying to believe a thing, it's not enough to say just go with whatever the science says, because who's funding the science for a desired result? Well, if Coca-Cola is making a sugary soda drink, doesn't it benefit Coca-Cola to come out with some scientific studies that says crazy amounts of sugar is not the cause of diabetes? It's fat. It's the consumption of fat that makes you fat, not sugar. Sugar is fine. That study comes out, and then it's funded by Coca-Cola. Oh, sugar's fine, guys. Just drink as much Coke as you can. Oh, it's great. It's awesome. That's why you need to be a little more cautious whenever you like pull studies and like want to defer to like science and studies, because scientists can fuck up just as much as anybody else, dude.
The FDA did no testing of their own during the approval process. Obviously.
And it's not like the FDA is entirely like a saint like either. People can pay off, like the people that are in charge of the FDA can also have some, behind the scenes vested interests in other companies. All right. So it's not like, oh, the FDA funded studies are the end all be all. They can have special interests in certain companies as well. Okay, so there is no link in the chain that is 100%, like indestructible. Every link in the chain can potentially have a flaw in it.
Bottles don't use acrylonitrile plastic anymore, but the Coke Monsanto story shows how the chemical industry manipulates facts and regulators to push things that we don't fully understand yet out into the world as quickly as possible. From 1950
Bro, what are they doing just giving out bottles of soda in plastic bags like that? That is so weird.
to today.
Bro, if I found a piece of food in a plastic bag like that on my door, I ain't eating that shit at all.
Plastic production went from 2 million tons a year to 450 million tons.
That's a lot of plastic.
Along the way, we see something familiar pop up. In a 1965 congressional hearing, a mention of the waterway between Connecticut and Massachusetts, about where the Monsanto plastic plant was. Strange plastic pellets emerging in the water. To find out how this plastic's getting into our water and everything else, I went to the Gulf Coast of Texas, which has the highest concentration of plastic production plants in America.
So always looking for the round ones, right? Or like the little guys, yeah.
Right. So I got 3 already.
Bro, I have went to the beach. I don't know what beach. Like, I have seen these before. I thought these were fucking rocks.
This is Jace Tunnel, a leading expert on the ecology of the Gulf of Mexico at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Jace spends a lot of time looking for those little plastic pellets I mentioned earlier. He runs the Nurdle Patrol, a project for citizen scientists around the world to go out and search for nurdles and report their findings, so Jace's team can discover trends.
Wait, is that what a little plastic pellet is called? A nurdle?
Sorry, I just kind of threw the word nurdle at you.
Yeah.
Nurdles is a plastic pellet, and
Oh.
so they're about the size of a lentil. And
I love how we could just make up a word and then it's a word now. That's so funny. A nurdle. Bro, I think I read that word in a Dr. Seuss book one time.
it's actually the raw material to make everything plastic.
They're individually small, but they're the second largest source of plastic pollution worldwide. Jace's first foray into nurdle hunting showed something shocking.
So in 2018, I was at the beach and looked down at the high tide line, and that's usually where you just see sticks, leaves. That's where you look for seashells. But when I looked down there was solid plastic pellets in there.
At the time, Jace thought the nurdles he found were from some major spill.
Oh yeah, like look at all this. It's like different, yeah. And it's not like my knee-jerk reaction to seeing this, like them all lined up, is like, oh, is each one of these nurdles a different company that is polluting the beach? That was my knee-jerk reaction.
He called the Coast Guard and a state agency responsible for regulating things like this, but instead of doing anything about it, they basically told Jace to figure it out himself. And what Jace found was much worse than just one big spill.
Each facility has a different extrusion plate that makes the shape and size of the nurdles, and then the color difference. So like the yellower the color, the longer it's been into the environment. So
Oh. So wait, was my initial thought process like correct? Each different looking nurdle was a different company? Oh, fuck.
once you look back at the sample that we had taken during that initial spill, we now know that 99% of those nurdles were all different. And it could be, 200 to 300 nurdles. And if all of those are different, that is literally 200 to 300 different spills that had occurred. And it really—
Spills? What do you mean spills? These companies are like just spilling nurdles and shit? How the fuck are the spills happening?
really shows that there's a chronic problem with nurdles getting out into the environment.
Big spills do happen, like all the time. But the persistent problem isn't some big accident that would make the—
Okay, so it's not like nurdles are inherently bad, it's just the spilling of nurdles isn't helping anybody. Well, okay.
News, but just putting these things out as regular standard operating procedure, part of—
Okay, so I get it. So a company that is making these like little plastic nurdles or whatever you want to call them, they don't want to have to go through the same level of regulation that I don't know, let's say a radioactive waste company has to go through to like maintain that the radioactive waste doesn't get spilled into the environment, okay? They just don't want to. It's a lot of more money, whatever. So the company the plastic company is going to try to advocate for less regulations for the little nurdles and the transportation of it and whatnot, whereas the radioactive waste company or whatever is going to be heavily scrutinized because it's radioactive waste or whatever. Pick your favorite chemical that can kill people if you touch it, come in contact with it, whatever. That is what it seems to be the crux of all of this.
Of their daily routine. Jace's Nurdle Patrol puts out a map that shows where citizen researchers are finding this stuff, and it really illuminates how it's happening.
Yeah, so what we have found over the years of collecting this data is there's a close correlation with where plastic is manufactured to where the higher concentrations are.
You also see higher concentrations around
I mean, it's not just where they're manufactured. Like, where's the transportation routes like? I mean, if shit's coming up in the water, it's like you have to look at like the ship routes, and it's like if you go up to these companies, I doubt they're going to give you the shipping routes for their entire process.
Train tracks. Nurdles are transported by train, and they just fall off.
And then once you figure out the shipping route process, then you have to look at like the ocean currents to see which way the wind blows, which way the water blows, all the nurdles and all the streams underneath like the surface layer of waters and shit.
Off along the route.
Unfortunately, with these pellets, it's this chronic everyday problem that at the manufacturing site, a little bit falls on the ground. During transportation, a little falls on the ground. During distributing, a little falls on the ground. When it rains, it really just accumulates into the rivers, washes out into the oceans, and washes back up. And there is no body to clean it up.
To make things worse, these things aren't considered hazardous waste by the government. And that's an important distinction. They're barely regulated, meaning companies can kind of do whatever they want.
You know, these pellets are lightweight. They put them on the very top and on the outside of shipping container boats. And so if they were considered hazardous material, they would actually have to put those containers in the hull of the boat. If there's a spill, they would have to document how many were lost. And
Oh, wow. They don't have to document a spill?
They would also have to log where they dispose of them. So it would change basically everything about...
Okay, so it's essentially big plastic doesn't want to have more regulations to it. Because it seems like they're kind of doing their due diligence in transportation of it, but in the case of like accidents, it's like whatever. They're just like sweeping it under the rug or I don't know exactly, but it seems like it's just not enough because this dude with like the Nurdle Patrol thing is finding the residual evidence of plastic pellet spills. And I don't know if he has enough evidence to back up the fact that he could say that all these plastic nurdles are a detriment to our environment. I don't know if he's on that level yet.
You know, the way that they currently handle the plastic pellets.
In 2022, Texas regulators plan to start treating nurdles as the dangerous pollution they are. But industry lobbyists stop them. So let's look at some industry hotspots on Jace's map.
And so if we click on here, you can see over 16,000 nurdles by one person for a 10-minute period.
16,000.
Holy
shit.
shit.
We were looking at 200 before. That's 16,000.
Right.
Bro, how do you count that shit? There's no... Like, how? I was going to say, is there like a change machine for nurdles? You know, like at Walmart or like a bank or something, sometimes they'll have that change machine where you dump in all your coins and then just push it in the hole and then the machine counts it all out. Is that how... He just said over 16K in 10 minutes. How do you count that fast? If you're counting like little tiny plastic nurdles, you have to just be like just scooping that shit up and just like dumping it into like a nurdle machine.
And so since this is right outside, you know, Formosa plastics, it's easy to see why the concentrations would be so high right here.
Yeah.
16,000 nurdles in 10 minutes.
In just the area of the plant itself.
That's a lot of nurdles. So I headed to Point Comfort, Texas, where Formosa Plastics is headquartered, to find out more. My contact there was Diane Wilson, a local of nearby Seadrift, Texas, and fourth-generation commercial fisherwoman who's been standing up for local communities against their polluters for decades.
Chairman Stoop. Chairman okay. Back. Ranking members bar.
This is what it looks like in the marshes. This is what it looks like for the fishermen down there. And I think you need to be charged with a crime. You need to go to jail. As a matter of fact, I've got some chains and I'm going to do a citizen's arrest. Ma'am.
If you go downtown Seadrift.
Was that a woman trying to like stop her? I'm doing a citizen's arrest. Like what? I mean, you look at that clip and you think like, oh, just crazy lady, but like, bro, she's got the evidence. Plastic nurdles like everywhere. Like by all definitions, that is pollution. All right. Meanwhile, I got to drive down the road and I got to see some dumbass like flick. I see this all the time. I see motherfuckers flick out cigarettes and bottles and cups, plastic cups and whatever. It's like a $500 fee to just throw out that little thing. All right. There is a crazy discrepancy in what a citizen can get away with throwing away and what a gigantic plastic making company can get away with throwing away. It's crazy, dude.
We used to have steelworks. We had marine supplies.
All that business is gone.
Yes, it's
and
gone.
And you link that? Is that linked directly to Formosa moving in?
Well, it's all of the plants, but Formosa has made a big impact.
Formosa, a Taiwanese company, has had a presence in Texas since 1979. They fought hard to get quick approval for constructing their chemical plant near waterways. 10 years later, they fought hard to get approval to expand it, threatening to move the entire plant out of Texas if they didn't get approval tomorrow.
The money's coming in, but what happened to the money that all these families, these workers, these small businesses were making?
Do you know they don't even count them? Nowhere in there is the cost of the devastation of all of these fishing communities, the fish houses, the jobs that went along with them.
The state and federal regulatory agencies decided the impact of the plant and its expansion were minimal in comparison to what they saw as an economic boon for the area. But the only boon was a boon of plastic waste everywhere.
It was.
I think from the company's perspective, I don't know like the budget or whatever, but like whatever the process is they're making, whatever plastic bullshit they're making, this would not be an issue if you guys just like fixed your shit and didn't pollute so much. Like I would have to see like the entire process and like where all the plastic nurdles are just like being excreted, spilled, or whatever, leaked. It's not like plastic nurdle. Again, it's not like plastic nurdles are just inherently bad. It's them just getting out in the environment. All right, you just gotta put a clamp on that. But I don't know. It's like they don't even want to like give a shit about it because it's gonna cost too much money. We got to maintain our profit margins and all this other shit. It's and it's horrible because this doesn't need to be an issue at all. Just do your shit cleaner is all we're asking. No, we're gonna lobby to maintain the current regulations and all this other shit. It's easier to maintain the current level of lobbying with the current budget than it is to put all that lobbying money into like research and development, into coming up with like a better process to like keep all the nurdles like a little more like in check or whatever. And it's just like it's mental gymnastics, dude.
It was in people's swimming pools. It was on their cars, covering their cars. So it was
That's
everywhere.
Crazy.
Except it was total denial, and the state wouldn't do anything.
But there was someone who could do something. Diane. Like all of us, she kind of has the power to be a regulator herself due to one bill.
In the Clean Water Act, there is a provision that if the state or the feds are not enforcing, then a citizen can.
So Diane started collecting evidence to sue Formosa Plastics for polluting the waterways.
I found out where all of their stormwater outfalls were, and I got a kayak, and I literally discovered them myself. Nobody told me where they're at. When you have rain, everything is jammed and it goes over and it just goes out.
Just straight into this water.
Straight out here. Plastic was everywhere.
She allied with workers at the plant who saw firsthand how cavalier Formosa was in mishandling the leakage of vinyl chloride.
This is the plant. Like, if they're just tossing that shit out in the environment, this is the plant being completely lazy. 100%. They are being lazy fucks. Like, come on, dudes. You can't figure out some better way to get rid of all that shit? What are you doing? This is not the American way. Like, you've gotten like 90% there, and you just fall on your fucking face at the very end, at the finish line. Jesus Christ.
A chemical used in plastic production that at high enough levels of exposure can cause cancer.
They would have maybe a 2,000 pound release. And it was like, all over the yard, it's all over the cement, it's in the ditches, it's overflowing. And he says his supervisor would come in and, you know, like, well, how much is over there? And he says, tell me what you want me to write. And they eventually reported 2 pounds. 2 pounds to the EPA. And it was over 2,000. And he said,
well, that's a little bit of a misdocumentation.
Lied for them every time.
Diane won $50 million from Formosa, the largest ever citizen settlement, for the harms they wrought on the bay, and that money went directly to the fishing community that had been destroyed.
But when we talk about that amount of money as a punishment for Formosa, do you feel like that's enough to be a true punishment to them?
No, not at all.
For comparison, Formosa made 4,000 times that in 2019. And these companies, Formosa, Dow Chemical, Chevron, and DuPont, and Exxon, and the rest, push solutions that are distractions and half measures designed to make it look like they're doing something without really doing anything. Like Operation Clean Sweep, the entirely voluntary slate of best management practices plastic companies adopted in the 1990s to avoid pollution that even Formosa signed up for. It clearly didn't do much to stop Formosa's plastic pollution, but they sure talked about it a lot. So what does this all mean for you? Well, it could be making all of us sick. Researchers at the University of Vienna have even linked microplastic ingestion to colorectal cancer. At the same time, we're seeing more and more of that cancer among surprisingly young people.
I don't think for 1 second that when the plastic makers made their company that this was their end goal, to pollute the environment and create all these unnecessary illnesses. I don't think that's what they wanted, or that's not what their intent was. Now, if people are coming out and linking all the nurdles and microplastics to this, and they don't want to take accountability, that's where we have an issue. All right, you guys got to tighten up.
The effects on the endocrine system, that's where hormones are produced, are widely documented. And microplastics are showing up in fetuses and placenta.
Jesus.
We have no idea what this will do to our next generations.
It's real concerning to read all these papers that come out and hear that there are microplastics in our organs. What long-term impacts is that going to have? Do we have a real answer for that yet?
Congress may finally be doing something. The Plastic Pellet-Free Waters Act was introduced to Congress in early 2024 to address the lack of EPA and state regulation on nurdles. But the plastic industry's been pushing back hard, citing the Do Nothing Clean Sweep program as evidence the regulatory changes are unnecessary.
No, it's not. Then why is there still fucking nurdles like littered everywhere on all those beaches and coasts and like rivers and shit?
It's important to remember it didn't have to be this way. This is all about profit. Keeping these particles out of our waterways would cost these companies more money. Pumping out more and more plastic products is...
Yeah, if you want to be the big company and make the big dollar, you got to spend the big dollar. All right? You got to take a budget cut. All right? Fix that shit, stupid. Fix it.
profitable. But is any of that savings getting passed on to you, or only the chemicals that are poisoning you? Even back to the Coke bottle.
Along with measuring consumer response, these tests enable Coca-Cola USA to further evaluate the technical, manufacturing, economic, environmental, and health aspects of the new container.
They push the bottle out quickly to test the environmental and health effects on real people, which is kind of what the entirety of the plastic project feels like.
Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to learn the hard way of, what the real impact is over time.
For today, plastics are changing the appearance of our everyday world. New materials will be found.
I mean, me personally, nobody's forcing me to like drink water out of a plastic bottle. If I really wanted to, I could go get like some water filtration system and just start doing it out of a glass cup or something like that. I don't know, I might. I haven't really seen any like crazy detrimental effects because I've been drinking out of like plastic bottles for like many years now. I don't know.
Processes discovered, not by those now engaged in industry, but by you. Your new frontier.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support more nonprofit independent journalism like this, fighting corporate greed, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if there's something that makes you as...
yes, it's corporate greed, but like, bro, the easiest fix would be for them, like, everyone's like ascribing all this like extra shit. It's corporate greed. It's like lobbying. This bill got to get passed. That bill got to get passed. It's like, bro, the amount of mental gymnastics people do to like it's a simple thing. Just stop polluting with all your little plastic nurdles everywhere. Figure out a better process to get rid of them. Like, that's it. But no, we gotta mental gymnastics, gold medal level mental gymnastics to not get regulated, blah blah blah. It's like, it's so sickening, dude, and it's embarrassing to see that people will do that. It's embarrassing.
As worried as microplastics make me? Let us know in the comments. We'll try to make a video about it.
Damn, dude, I had no idea. Shit, maybe I should like do some research and figure out if there's like a plastic plant near me. I know I got like a what is it, like a paver place kind of near me, but not really. But like, it's like a couple miles, like way away from me. I don't know. Maybe next time I go down like a river or something, I'll be more on the lookout. But now that I know those are not little pebbles, I was like, oh, look at what nature made. It's like, it's not nature. It's like, those are just companies. Jesus. Dang, dude. Wait. Why are they consistently saying spills instead of dumping? Ooh, spills implies it's an accident. Dumping implies it was on purpose. Ooh, shit. That's a good one, dude. Damn. That's even more crazy. How are you gonna be a big business like that and like still fuck up so hard? You're like an embarrassment. Jesus. Whatever, man. Thank you for making this video. I'm a little bit more educated now. But yeah. Good video. Again. Another banger. And I hope to see more. But other than that, I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right? Later.